Nobody's talking about the shift in the Mississauga condo market, but they should be. There is a little bit of a shift in what type of condos are more desirable. Those smaller one-bedroom condos, bachelor condos, they were predominantly built for the investor. And now that the investor is not active in this market, the shift and the demand has kind of moved away from these micro condos into the larger units, like the two-bedroom condos. So what I'm finding in the market right now is that the two-bedroom condos are kind of outperforming the one-bedroom condos. And that's kind of what I want to look at with you guys. I want to compare one-bedroom condo stats versus two-bedroom condo stats in Mississauga. I'm Muthu Jaffrey. I've been selling real estate in Mississauga and the GTA for more than 20 years, and my goal is really just to make the buying and selling process simple. So let's get right into it. Now let's look at the one-bedroom versus two-bedroom condo stats in Mississauga year to date from January to July in 2025. So the first thing I want to look at is the average price for one-bedroom condos. It is $466,000. It is pretty low if you ask me, and two-bedroom condos is $599,000. Now there is a substantial gap between one bedroom and two condos, but that's also because there are several two-bedroom condos that are like 12, 13, 14, 1500 square feet. So of course it's going to be more than these micro condo average price of $466,000. Now average days on the market, it is higher in two bedrooms, but I take this with a grain of salt. It's 31 days for one bedroom, 34 days for two bedrooms. The reason I take this with a grain of salt is that it doesn't actually count the active days listings are sitting on the market. It's only counting the ones that have sold. So there's probably several one-bedroom condos that have listed at, let's say, $399 and done an offer date and sold fairly quickly. And as opposed to two-bedroom condos, it is a little bit higher days on market. But again, I would not take this stat too seriously because it doesn't count the current days on market that listings are sitting. It's only going to take the days on market for the listings that have sold. So it's good to know, but again, take it with a grain of salt. But here's the big one, months of inventory. So for one bedroom condos, we have almost 12 months of inventory. That is a steep buyer's market. You're deep in the buyer's market. And in two bedrooms, you're at 7.75 months of inventory, which is still a buyer's market, but you're not so deep into it. It would take much less time to get out of the buyer's market in two bedroom condos than it would in the one bedroom condos, okay? The next stat I want to look at is number of transactions. Now remember, this is year to date. So number of transactions for one bedrooms is only 339. As opposed to two bedroom condos, it is 1,346. Big gap. So definitely more people are buying the two bedroom condos, and there's less months of inventory for that as well, and way more number of transactions. But the price, let's look at the price. Both are down significantly from this time last year. So for this stat, it is year over year price difference, and it is lower about 14.3% for one bedrooms from this time last year, and lower 13.4% for two bedrooms from this time last year. So two bedrooms is still a little bit less. It's not 14%, it's 13%. It's a 1% difference. Okay, month over month price difference, I wouldn't focus on this one too much. We actually look at year over year price difference. And for month over month price difference, for one bedroom condos, it's only about 1.5%. But for two bedrooms, it's 6%. But I would focus more on the year over year price difference. Both are down. So prices are generally down. Of course they are. But if you look here, less months of inventory for two bedroom condos and way more number of transactions for two bedrooms. So very quickly, I'm just going to talk about why two bedrooms are outperforming one bedrooms. And these are my opinions based on, the clients that I speak to and what I'm seeing in the market. And that families are prioritizing space. It is no longer the investor that is buying it. It is the end user. So they want space. A lot of them work from home. They have maybe a small baby, maybe two kids. And, they can't afford to live in a one bedroom unit. They need that space, and maybe they can't afford a townhouse just yet, but they are ready to dive in and own instead of rent. So it is mostly families, end users, people looking to grow the family. And that goes right into the second point. It is not an investor-driven market anymore. The investors have pretty much vanished. So all those one-bedroom bachelor condos that were really just for investors to buy, there's no investor there to buy it anymore. So let's look at the last point here, what this means for buyers and sellers. So buyers, if you are stretching for a 2-bedroom condo, it might actually be worth it for you. There is a chance that the values of the 2-bedroom condos start recovering before the 1-bedroom condos. I don't see the investors diving in anytime soon. I think for the foreseeable future, the larger condos are going to be the better buy for buyers. The space is there and it's more family oriented. As mentioned, investors are gone. So they're not buying to rent anymore. People are buying to live. So I do think that there is much more value in the 2-bedroom condos moving forward, or the larger units moving forward. And sellers, if you are looking to upgrade, then this actually might be a good opportunity for you, because you would probably be able to sell your 2-bedroom condo at the right price. You have to list it properly and you will have an easier time to sell it than you would if you were trying to get out of a 1-bedroom condo into a house or a townhouse. So really think about where you are at in your life, and if you are looking for a condo, see if you can stretch it to get something a little bit larger. And if you are a seller, then it might be the right time for you. So at the end of the day, I've helped hundreds of buyers in Mississauga look for condos like these. If you are looking to get into the condo market, or if you have any questions, you could just drop a comment below, or you could reach me directly, 647-208-9724. And my goal with this channel is just to make the buying and selling process simple.